Hey everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat, and I'm wearing a pair of glasses on my dome piece for no apparent reason, because the notes that I had for this show, they walked away. It's been known to happen in the past. I believe it or not, people, I was working with notes, which is not something I do anyway, right? All right. So the some really fascinating research has just been done, and it was published in the British Journal of Medicine. This is a study that has been taking a look at alcohol and what the new term. Obviously, we don't say alcoholism anymore, right? You have alcohol use disorder, right? AUD. So people with AUD have a very unusual thing happen where sensitivity to pain stimuli gets considerably worse, right? It gets way overblown. And you also get some changes in the brain, right? So that you're not firing the way that you should be. And what ends up happening is you're creating the need for more booze. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And most people who suffer from alcohol use disorder will tell you this, right? When you begin to quit, you go into withdrawal the same way that I did, right? If I quit heroin, I'm going to start feeling every single thing that I ever hurt on my body, right? Because those are the buttons that they push in order to get me to go back to using. It is the exact same thing for people who have alcohol use disorder. And there have been people telling me this for 2 years. No joke. The number of people who suffer from alcohol use disorder who said to me, "You have no idea how bad it is when you kick this." The physical pain. They described basically what I was going through. And I'll be really honest with you. I probably didn't give people the benefit of the doubt for that, which kind of sucks. I'll be honest. But again, it just goes to show that, you know what, even with the best of intents, sometimes you just end up, I don't know. I'm glad that this study is out. My 46-year run with alcohol was chock full of pain for myself and many around me. Next month will be 14 years clean and sober for me. Rich, 14 years is a really long time. I'm proud of you, brother, for real. I cannot wait until I hit the 14-year mark. Got a ways to go. I'm at year 8, but that's fantastic, man. 14 years is winning. That is winning. But obviously, and I'm glad that you said that. Truthfully, because I think that when I started to get sober, one of the problems that I got hung up on more than any other, and believe it or not, this is the truth. One of the things that I got hung up on the most was the pain that I caused to other people, not the pain that I caused myself. And this is one of the most difficult things for addicts to cope with. And it's a different kind of pain, and it's a kind of pain that is going to drive you back to your drug of choice if you don't get it under control, and get it under control fast. So this is one of the struggles that people, whether it's alcohol use disorder or anything else, the feelings of pain are what cause every addict to use. Whether that pain is physical, spiritual, emotional, whatever, I promise you it comes down to pain. And if it's not pain, it's fear. And fear is so damn close to pain that the two of them are definitely related in one way or the other. Are you with me on this? Can I get a aye aye? Can I get an aye aye, Captain? Thank you. Yeah, it's pulling teeth. I would drink to kill the pain in my stomach, but the pain in my stomach was being caused by drinking. So I would drink to kill the pain in my stomach. Ray, this is a perfect comment, because this is exactly what the damn study says, right? Truthfully, alcohol is causing your receptors to light on fire, right? They are so much more sensitive than they're supposed to be. Why? Because your brain wants you to drink. So just like Ray's example, your pain is being caused by alcohol, and you believe that what will take that away, and by the way, it will, right? For a short period of time, it will. And people self-medicate, and they believe that the pain is real. Now, I'll tell you something. Alcohol is poison, for the record. Thank you. But I'll tell you something. This pain is as real as any pain you will ever feel in your life. It doesn't mean that this pain isn't real. It just means that there's not something causing it, right? Very similar to psychosomatic pain. You want to see a drug addict get really, really pissed, tell them that their pain's not real. Been doing this one for a long time and they get really heated. And the funny thing is, I try to do a better job explaining this because I got really heated when doctors told me this. Hey, you know what? This is all just psychosomatic. This pain's in your head. You just want to go, I will chin check you, right? I can't stand up. You gonna tell me this isn't real? Well, they're bad at what they do, right? Q was the first person that actually explained that to me that made any sense at all, right? Told him, I'm like, man, you start kicking and the pain is just unbelievable. I said, and doctors will tell you that it's not real. He's like, it's not. I said, man, you just don't know what you're talking about. You've never been there. He goes, no, I have been there. It hurts to hell. It just doesn't have a mechanism. Take your thumb, put it on a table, whack it with a hammer, right? Very obvious. This hurts. You get that Fred Flintstone thing going on. You can feel it, like you feel your heartbeat in your thumb. Hurts like hell, right? Okay. Your brain has the ability to recreate that without the hammer. The exact same thing. So forget the hammer, forget the thumb on the table, but inside your brain, the exact same thing happens. It fires the same chemicals and the same synapses and all of that junk, right? And then you find yourself feeling the exact same thing that you felt the first time. What got rid of it the first time? Well, pain meds did good, or booze did good, or cocaine did good, or whatever the hell you got going on. Johnny, you got a hello. Cindy says, Johnny, how are you? Good vibes, good vibes. Says hello.
Thank you.
All right. I drank for oblivion, and all I want to do when I'm in pain is sleep. The sleep you get is insufficient and short, and you drink again. Vicious cycle. Great comment. Here's the deal, right? Whether you're addicted to booze, whether you're addicted to pain medication, whether you're addicted to benzodiazepines or any drug that goes this way, right? So not the coke and the meth and the amphetamines and anything else that you can get your grips on. I'm not talking about that, but anything that is taking you down is going to make you go to sleep. And people get convinced that, you know what? If I can get this, I'm going to go to sleep. If I can do this, I'm going to go to sleep. The trouble is the sleep doesn't do a damn thing, right? Not a damn thing. Sorry. You people are moving so fast. I can't even find the comment I was looking for. You people are frightening. Wow. Holy hell is this thing moving fast? Well, what I saw was a comment that said, have any of you ever tried a geographical cure? Which I think almost everybody that spent any amount of time in addiction has done this. And that's where you pick up and move, right? You're going to go somewhere, and I promise you. Now, if you're someone who suffers from alcohol use disorder, that one never made sense to me. I guess you thought if I can get away from my friends, or I can get away from the pub or whatever. But for me, it was always, if I can get to a new town, right? Heroin is not like, buying a bag of weed. The people that sell heroin are notoriously paranoid, and the people that do heroin only hang out with other people who do heroin, and kind of finding and getting into that circle. I would convince myself that if I go to a new town, I'm not going to know how to score, right? There's going to be nobody there that can show me how to get dope, and it's going to take a long time. And during that time, maybe I'll get my crap together or whatever. And inevitably, I'm not stupid. And if I want to find dope in any city in America, I can do it. It's not a difficult process. And anybody that's ever done any opiates will tell you the same thing, right? You find the methadone clinic in town, and chances are there's somebody there that would be interested in telling you. Hi from Costa Rica. You kidding? Hello, Costa Rica, and welcome to the Lifeboat. Fantastic. 7th. Oh yeah. 7th. I got a question for you, brother. Is this recently? Was this the last one that we're talking about? He said they pumped my stomach an hour after I drank alcohol, already in the bloodstream. Yeah. And getting your stomach pumped is never a pleasant thing. If you've never had that happen, it's not really a straight pump. It's I think they could say lavage, I think is what they said. But it's a process of firing activated charcoal down one side. And then sucking it out the other. So it's water, and it's terrible. It's an absolutely awful thing. And I had it done to me when I was in prison, for no reason. For no reason. I'll tell you the story just because it's good for a laugh. So I had a bunch of Suboxone. I didn't. Someone had a bunch of Suboxone that they had managed to get into the prison, and the person just wanted this stuff cut up into the packages that you could sell, because a strip is very expensive. You can't sell something like that in there. So I was just showing this cat how to do it, and we had a lookout who apparently wasn't worth a fart, because the door opened, and standing at the door was a corrections officer. And I was in a prison where about 8 out of 10 of the correction officers just would have walked on by. Like, they would have looked in, seen that, and just said, da, 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 and kept on walking. This dude came into the cell. So I knew I was going to be looking at a buttload of trouble, because it was, by definition, my dwelling, right? This was my house, or whatever is how they look at it. So I just swept all of them into my hand and snarfed them, right? No, it doesn't really make much of a difference. You know what I mean? After you've had 3 or 4 of them in there, you may as well, like, it doesn't do anything more, right? I promise you. People go, it doesn't work that way. Well, I had about 34 of them. And I had him under the tongue. And, you know what I mean? Like, he's going, spit him out. I'm on the ground. I was just holding him there. And yeah, I mean, I got a pretty good glow out of it. But they instantly said, this guy swallowed all of the drugs and blah, blah, blah. So we need to go get his stomach pumped. And I'm like, it's not that kind of drug. Nevertheless, it was one of those processes that, yeah, it's not a fun process. Jeremy Shelton says, moved to Japan and ended up drinking more. One of the things I was always embarrassed about was hiding the shakes during the day. Boy, Jeremy, that's frightening. It really is. By the time you get to the shakes, right? If this is not your substance of choice, if you've never been addicted to alcohol or worked with anyone who's addicted to alcohol, I promise you, by the time you're getting to the shakes, we're deep into it. Right? We're deep into it. If you're waking up in the morning and your hand does this number until you get the first 1 or 2 into you, then I would suggest not quitting without talking to a doctor. That goes for anybody that's quitting booze in any way. But if you've got the shakes, you're deep into it. You're absolutely into the part of addiction that you got to be very careful coming off. You can go into seizures and it can kill you. That also goes with benzodiazepines. If you think I say that too much, I don't. Probably don't say it enough. Honestly, very, very, very important stuff. Anybody that's been in the game any length of time has lost friends to this, because people just didn't know better. Twisted Sister Paranormal says, I'm on Suboxone right now. You and a lot of people on the lifeboat, including your captain. I take buprenorphine every day. It is how it's how my sobriety works. I take a very, very small amount. I have cut down. In fact, the doctor, when I told him, I just recently re-upped a couple of days ago, and when I said to him, I don't need the same amount, because I'm taking a lot less, right? And he was a little freaked out. He said he thought I went down a little too quick, but I'll be honest, I feel fantastic. If I didn't, I'd go back up. I mean, I have no problem. The people say, you traded one drug for another, or you're still on drugs. You know what? Have a good time with that. Still don't do it here, because I'll kick you out of the chat. We're not going to have anybody's biases on medical assisted treatment keep somebody that's on fentanyl from getting on Suboxone, right? We call it harm reduction. It's a hell of a trade, right? That's a hell of a trade. In fact, it's the best trade in history, beating out
Jim Fregosi for Nolan Ryan.
Jim Fregosi for Nolan Ray is the greatest trade in the world until you stop doing that. Alcohol use disorder. Although I haven't had to pick up a drink for a long while, I consider myself a drunk. Probably because of my sick sense of humor. No, you know what, New England? I catch crap for this every single time I say it, but and I'll get some emails or whatever. But I always considered myself a junkie. I wasn't. That's what I was. My soul, right, at that level. There was nothing else that was important but the junk. And I don't know. I know that there are people who really say, you can't say that. To me, in my mind, I don't know. I think for some people that works. I think thinking of yourself as a drunk for some people is an insurance policy. It's a buffer, right? You can, the more syllables you add to anything, the less you take the stink off of it, right? That was George Carlin that said that, right? And he's right. If you keep adding all kinds of like alcohol use disorder, drunk, right? You say drunk, and it's real clear, it's real quick. The more syllables we add to it, we seem to soften it up. I don't have a problem with you calling yourself that, and it may be because you're a bit of a sick dude. I mean, that's legit, but nevertheless, you know, it is what it is. It's a way to categorize it so that you can get through therapy, also get therapy also through insurance. Gray Zone, great comment. And we've talked about this a lot in here. The number of times that somebody has gone into a treatment program or tried to, and there are certain insurance companies that will treat certain things and not treat others. There is nobody out there that doesn't treat for alcohol. And we don't encourage people to tell falsehoods, but I know a lot of people that went in and said, I need help. And we're even encouraged by the person across from them to say, you sure you don't drink too? Right? I mean, are you sure you don't drink too? Isn't there some alcohol use in there? You know, you get someone saying that across from you. I'm sure you had a few beers somewhere along the line. You might want to tell them that, yeah, there's some alcohol involved. I like that too. A disorder is something that bothers your life enough to ask for help. I like it. Yeah, at least doing something that works for you. Thank you, Twisted Sister. You know what, Jeremy, I like this too. I really do. Alcohol use disorder is such a lame term. We baby everything for everyone now anymore. Tough love. It's alcoholism, right? Enough sugarcoating. And there are people who feel that way, bro. And I completely get it. May says, I'm a drunk. It's humbling. Again, a lot of people in recovery feel this way. A lot of people. But I promise you, there are going to be some people that watch this video who don't feel that way, right? There are going to be people that watch this video that are going to struggle very much. You have to realize a lot of us are here, right? And this is kind of an interesting point, actually, because not everybody here is addicted to drugs or alcohol. There are people who are here for other reasons, right? We talk about this a lot, and we talk about trauma. And trauma is never the same for two people, even if the two people go through the exact same thing. If the people that we've met from Scientology are a perfect example of this, right? All born into it. In theory, it would be a very similar experience, but every single one of them has been affected so differently. And on the lifeboat here, there are people that got 6 years of sobriety who have no problem at all calling themselves a drunk. But there are people who are going to hear this show for the first time today who are still struggling with the concept that they may have a problem, right? In the beginning, you know, people talk about denial all the time. And it's funny whenever I bring it up on the lifeboat because people go, denial. No, I don't deny what I am, though there was a time you did. I promise. There's a time we all did. Even if it was a subconscious thing, I promise you, because if you did not deny it in the beginning, trust and believe you wouldn't be here now. Right? We all had to get to that first one where we realized that, you know what? This isn't cool. Right? This is bad. I'm here because of trauma first and all that other second or third jam. I appreciate that. I really do. For me, Mischief says gambling, food, sex. Damn, that's an important list. Gambling, food, sex. The list is endless. It is. It absolutely is. And again, we are fast becoming a channel that deals with trauma as much as it deals with addiction. And for that reason, right? I love the idea that that we're here for one another, and we are absolutely a peer support group. And I think that that's awesome, and it works. But you know what? If you're afraid of talking to somebody who is a professional, if you're afraid of talking and getting some professional help, please let me tell you and assure you that in coordination with something like this, your odds of success go through the roof. And I don't just mean for staying sober, because if that's the only thing you're shooting for, man, you need to shoot higher. Seriously, if that's where you're setting the bar, get your you know what together. You want to be who you are, but just not drunk or not high? I don't. Boy, I don't. I want to fix myself, man. I really want to be a better version of the cat that I am, because the beginning didn't work out so well. So I will take professional advice, and I will work with all kinds of people who understand what I've been through, because I think that that's an important thing, and it works out. Boy, oh boy, does this thing just move on down the line. Hold on. I have no idea what I'm doing. Let's read this one. Alcohol use disorder is such a lame term. See, there we are again. But this thing, she moves in mysterious ways. I apologize, people. There we go. Did that go up? We use denial to shield ourselves from pain until we're strong enough to deal with it, in my opinion. And I agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. The denial allows us to continue to use whatever it is we're using, right? To cover up the pain. And it might not be booze. It might not be drugs. It might not be anything like that, right? You could be eating, right? You could be gambling. You could be sleeping with many people, right? These are all things that people do. Porn is huge. We kind of go in waves on the boat where people come on and are very, very open. And there was a period of time on the boat where there was about 3 people whose addiction was pornography, and they were very, very open about it, very, very honest. And there's human nature wants to snicker, right? But when you start to realize that we really are all in the same boat, and what this these individuals were doing was using this as a coping mechanism. There's no other way to put it. You know what I mean? They got stressed out and they used a different way to cope, but it is the exact same thing. It is the inability for us to deal with what we have to deal with on a daily basis without some kind of assistance. And denial is huge because it lets us continue to eat too much, drink too much, do whatever. And once we start getting strong enough to deal with what causes the symptom, then, then the healing starts. But it does start with the end of the denial, right? That magic moment where the window of opportunity actually opens and you say, you know what? I can't do this. I'm not any good at this. That was really it for me, man. Like, I'm not good at doing heroin, which is really incredible because I've done so damn much of it. You'd think I would have had it, down to a science, but the truth is I can't do that substance. Can't do it. No control whatsoever. And all of the power in my life that I have started with the realization that I can't do pain medication of any kind, right? That's it. Boom. And then it's all over. It's hello, Lene. Well, that I've said hello to you in a minute. Glad that you're here. Don Shackelford says, just trying to deal with the trauma the deep addiction in my family helped to create. You are not alone. Right? You are absolutely not alone. It's drug addiction and alcoholism causes so much trauma to so many families. And you know what? It's really hard for a lot of the people here. Someone else caused that trauma. We have people here who are dealing with trauma that was not brought on by them doing drugs or alcohol, but by someone that they loved or someone that they were with who was that person. That's another thing that we struggle with, right? When I was talking about guilt early on, when I was talking about that being one of the hardest things to get through, it is a situation that I was the person that brought so much of that drama and so much of that trauma to my family, and the realization that I'm not that Kenneth. I really am not. Nobody in their right mind did the things that I did. The gray zone. Miss V says, hello, gray zone. Sandra says, hello, gray zone. You probably have seen the gray zone before. Used to, or still does, Degraded Daughters of Dianetics. The gray zone is another channel that Vanessa does. Also has the coolest 3-legged dog on the planet. So if you haven't gone over there and checked that out, you really should. It's the Elvis cam. Scooby, glad you're here. Tim says, I think addiction causes the denial to prevent admitting to needing help. And addicts will say, I am fine. I got this, because maybe they don't believe they can or are afraid of being told no. Tim, there's probably something to that. I think so often our brain wants us, it wants the easiest route. It wants the path of least resistance. And so often, for so many of us, that means the symptom of drugs or alcohol, right? So we don't want to quit. Our brain doesn't want us to quit. So our brain does whatever it has to, right? So for me, it caused knee pain, it caused ankle pain, all of the injuries that I had, right? It also caused spiritual and emotional pain because my drug was a painkiller. Right? So it knows what buttons to push. And if you're just getting to that point in your path of addiction where you go, damn, I might be getting out of control. I promise you, your brain's going to go, no, you're not. Don't be silly. Not. So you party a little on the weekends, right? And maybe it's pushing into Monday and Tuesday, but it's not like you're not paying your bills, right? It's not like you're beating your kids. It's not like you will rationalize this crap for 4 or 5 more years until you are not paying your bills, right? And all of the other things that go along with that or end up incarcerated. Don Shackelford says, also want to learn how to support the addicts I love in my family. This is a great comment. And this is something that this has happened a lot recently on the lifeboat. And I think it's one of the most exciting things that has happened, to be honest with you, right? Because we talk all of the time about normies versus regular people. And one of the reasons that groups are so important is because you don't have to try to explain to somebody what's going on, right? They understand where you're coming from. And when you talk to a loved one about drugs, CK says, I love feeling numb. Yeah, well, that's why we all did drugs, right? For real. That's what it does. It numbs the pain. It numbs whatever. We all like feeling numb, sadly. And even if you're not into drugs, still, you're numbing your pain. That's what you're doing, no matter how you're doing it, right? No matter how you're doing it. But if you can start to understand the addict so that when the person you care about says something that makes no sense, right? Talking to somebody in my family and I say, so I got out of prison after robbing banks and I started to do well and I started to make money. And then I went out and I bought some heroin and people look at you and go, well, what in the hell would you do that for? You know, it's going to land you in prison, right? No doubt. That's how it always happens. You're going to break out in handcuffs. So why in hell would you go out and do this again? And that's what everybody is going to want to say because it's logical. Chi-Chi. Good to see you, hun. See that? Chi-Chi.
Chi-Chi.
Love it. Johnny says hello. Fantastic, Chi-Chi. I'm glad that you're here. But it's essential that you realize that nobody wants to be addicted to anything. Nobody wants to be addicted to anything. It's a long-standing cliche, right? But nobody in the 10th grade, when they came by and said, what do you want to do with your life? Huh? Well, I'd like to be an actor, or I want to be a firefighter. I was thinking of maybe going into something with science. No, I want to stick needles in my arms 3 times a day, steal from the people that I love, lie to everybody on the planet. Right? Let it escalate to the point where I'm going into banks and stealing things or robbing people from other countries of money that they have or any other hustle that I could come up with, right? And that I could con to try to get enough money to keep my arm fed. Promise you that wasn't my 10th grade year's goal in life. And Dawn, nobody in your family wanted to be an addict, right? For real. And if the default setting, it's funny, Chi-Chi's here, right? Because we used to talk about this all the time when Chi-Chi was on the boat. We used to say, Chi-Chi wasn't such a bad default setting because she's just one of those people that, has a tough time saying anything bad about anybody. Just sort of always sees the best in people and is just, it's a beautiful soul, right? But if your default setting is love, then you don't really need to understand addiction. You don't. You just need to be there and say, you know what? I don't know what you're going through. They'll love that. I have no idea what you're going through. And I'm here to support you in any way that I can. Right? I do know that you didn't choose this. And I also know that, guess what? This is a disease. It's been proven. So I'm not going to crap on you. I wouldn't crap on you if you had diabetes. So I'm not going to crap on you for having alcohol use disorder or anything else for that matter. Right? It's a rugged thing. It really is. But having the ability to talk to people, it's a beautiful thing. It really is. And when your family knows that you're there for them and that you're not going to judge them, the odds of their success just goes through the roof. Damn, I love that. She's here all dead. Oh, it's dead air, people. Every once in a while, because I've been yelled at in the past because occasionally I'll fire a comment up without reading the thing first. My brother Johnny says to me every time, dude, read it before you put it up there. I put up some stupid ones in the past. I'm not going to lie to you. I got priors.
I got some good stories.
Yeah. Every time you give that trophy, you are celebrating a small win for someone. And this channel, Tony, it's empowerment at its finest and commendable. And I am glad that you see professional doctors. You know what? I am too. I am too. And it's something that I struggled with for a long time. And I know that everybody here struggles with it. Everybody. There's nobody here that loves it. Nobody here that loves it, right? Whatever caused your trauma, right? Addicts can't stand it. I promise you, people that are coming from any kind of the trauma, the hardest thing to do is to sit down across from somebody and tell them things that you don't want to tell anybody. One of the beautiful things for me about therapy and about talking to doctors and people like that, and this is going to sound awful, but it's the fact that I don't care about them, right? That's huge. I don't care about these people. I care about me. And when I'm talking to these people, it's all about me. And that doesn't happen a lot in the regular part of my life, right? You really have to think about whether or not you're hurting anybody's feelings. And you need to think about, even when you're not doing this, right? When you're not being filmed, everything is, you kind of never want to make the boat look bad, and you never want to make the mission look bad or anything. And it's so you don't often really let one fly. So it's really a blessing to talk to some of these people and just go, boy, if I could tell you the day. And if they say something that I don't agree with, I don't have a problem saying to them, no, you're wrong. That's not where we're going for that. That is not where we're going with that. Did I miss one? Did Lady Crispin enter the building? Or is this a different Fiona? Because we got a couple of them now, which is getting really confusing. Yeah, you know what? I actually I was in correspondence with Fee today. And we do need some prayers for Fee. She's got a procedure that's going to be coming up. And when it gets closer to that, we'll let everybody know about it so we can get some thoughts and prayers for her. So it's something that has been scheduled forever. So, yeah. You know what? This is also something that's important. It's really hard to trust and find professionals who will actually be helpful. You getting your body taken care of is always a priority. You know, thank you. I feel healthier today, to be really honest with you. I feel like but fire your doctor, man. If you do not feel comfortable, especially if you're talking about somebody who's working on your mental health. If you're uncomfortable, get somebody else. Right? You have to be your own advocate. And I'll tell you something else. If you get somebody that you don't like, it will taint how you look at working with professionals. And that's awful. It really is. It's like having a bad meal somewhere and saying, I'm never going to eat Italian food ever again. But people do that constantly. I tried that. You know, I talked to somebody. Well, maybe you talked to an idiot. Or maybe you talked to a doctor on a really bad day. Or maybe you just talked to a doctor that didn't gel with you. I was working with a counselor, and this was a psychologist, not a psychiatrist, but I was working with one when I was at the halfway house. And this was right around the time that I lost my dad and went through a whole bunch of other crap. And every single day, my hands would be visible from space. I was having that just god-awful, I don't know what the hell it was, arthritis or whatever from sandblasting. And my hands would be this big. It was really a hard time for me. It was really a hard time for me. And I got a guy that was just the greatest. Like, this dude was fantastic. And like, after my dad passed, we had a 1 hour session. And I remember looking down, and I was probably 2 hours and 15 minutes into this thing, right? And I was hurting, right? And I was on a roll, and this dude didn't go, hey, man, there's the top of the hour, right? He just rolled. And I felt like I was making great headway. It was something that was fantastic, and the federal government, in their wisdom, hired a less expensive group of people to handle all of the inmates at the halfway house, and I had to start from scratch. And because of how good the last one was, I could not, for the life of me, get anything done with the second person, and didn't really try. Just got a bad vibe. Nothing was good. It was an older person, and I just got a bad vibe. He worked out of his house, and it was a bad vibe. It really was. But you just got to keep going until you find people that you're going to be comfortable with. Right now, I happen to be working with people that I'm making ridiculous headway because of the people that I'm working with, and that is, I couldn't be any happier. I really couldn't, and I need to, people. I really do. I still got a lot of work to do, and everybody does. I don't think that, Joni, if you're late again, I swear to you, we will make you write something on a chalkboard or something, right? Yeah, I literally will have you writing something like "seek radical care." You know what? Yeah, I think that there's probably something to that. But you know what? Check out professional help, and no one wants to hear this. I mean, especially if you're just starting out on the journey. I get that. I really do. I get that. But you don't have to. You don't have to worry about that today, right? If today you're trying to stop your consumption of alcohol, right? If today that's what your goal is. Talk to a doctor before you quit. But the first thing that you need to work on is getting the chemicals out of your life, and then it really. CK, you know what? Before you pat me on the back too hard, there, CK. Before you pat me on the back too hard, I spent a lot of time in prison, and the vast majority of it I did not spend sober. Right, just so that I'm clear. I do not want to give anybody the wrong idea. So I spent about 4 or 5 years, 5 years in prison sober. But that was it. Before that, I was doing dope every day. And it's a hard place to not get high. It really is. It's a very hard place to not get high, because especially if you had a habit, before you went in, because it will take you out of there, right? It is one of the few things in the world, where you do heroin, and all of a sudden, like, the fact that you're surrounded by walls and lockdowns and all those things, you don't care. And it's the reason that so many people will do their entire sentence that way and have no chance when they get back. May says, 1 day at a time, and if that's too overwhelming, then 1 hour at a time. And many times, 1 minute at a time. I've said this before, but I swear to you, people, it's the truth. From the first day of November, right? Until January 2nd, I was white knuckling it in prison every single year. Those 5 years, the holiday seasons, there were times where I was in my cell just trying to get through the next 10 minutes, looking at my cellmate and going, man, if I can make it to lockdown, if I can make it to freaking lockdown, that there's dope all over the day room, and everybody's talking about where it came from and how good it is, and who has what, the front, and you're just like, you know what, dude, stop talking to me. And yeah, the holiday season sucked. They were the absolute worst, and I white knuckled 5 of them. They never got any easier. They really didn't. And my first one out was ridiculously uncomfortable. It really was. My first one out, I felt like but a bunch of people came by the house. I had tons of relatives there, and all of these people that I really, were important to me and that I care about. And for a lot of years, when Christmas rolls around and the holidays roll around, my brother and I are probably going to act like idiots for the majority of the holiday season. Right? We'll keep people laughing. It's kind of the kind of stuff that we did. And it was really odd after being locked up for so long to be there and just sort of having people look at you. You know what I mean? There were many times where I had to come up and say to people, I love you. I got to get out of here. Like my sister was really cool. I say, I'm not upset at anybody. This is freaking me out. And I would go outside and I'd go for a walk or whatever. That first Christmas was rugged. It really was. It was tough. But I love them now. I love them now. You're going to have so many damn firsts, right? First Christmas sober, first birthday sober, first fight sober, first girlfriend sober, first boyfriend sober, whatever, right? All of these things are going to be brand new. Brand new things are exciting, right? You know what exciting means? It means dopamine, right? Exciting is not really a word. It's a chemical. Your brain kicks out dopamine when you get something exciting or novel, okay? Exciting or novel. So if you're hopping out of an airplane, good. And if you're on a first date, probably good, right? Because these are all novel things. They're all brand new. Anything that you're doing, buying a new car, right? Anybody ever get one of those? And for the first week, you just feel different. You're all excited as hell about it. And, Porsche used to do a great ad, a picture of a 911 that said, try getting a good night's sleep the first night this thing's in the garage. And there's some truth to that, right? The first night that you got something really ridiculous in there, you just get all excited. Woo, woo, natural dopamine, the best, says May. I'll tell you something. I'm a big fan of natural dopamine. I am a big fan of natural dopamine. Do you know why natural dopamine kicks the crap out of any other kind? Because there's a reason for this, by the way. This is actually true. This is a scientific fact. Works like this. Smoke a cigarette, right? Doubles the dopamine level. Dopamine times 2, right? That's a smoke. But it doesn't stay that way, which is why you smoke 2 packs a day, right? Natural dopamine does not spike and go back down, right? It goes way up. Jump out of an airplane. And that crap, especially the first one, 3 days after you jump out of a plane, you will be walking around, staring up at the sky, and you will still be riding that wave, I promise you.
I saw an article that said we couldn't get off the couch without dopamine because we know that getting out of bed in the morning, we know that throughout the day we're going to get that dopamine. But we realize it or not, psychologically, that's why we even get up. We couldn't exist without dopamine.
There may be something to that. Sadly, I don't think anybody heard anything you just said because this thing is excellent right here, but I don't think it's there. But Blessed de Crochet said, when I lost my dad the first birthday without, and Father's Day was so hard. They were a day apart. Oh my God. Still hard, but it gets easier. You know what? One of the greatest things I ever heard anybody say, and it's just the truth, is that there are things that you're not going to get over, right? There are things you shouldn't get over. Honestly, there's things you should not get over, right? That's way too large a loss to just go zipping on by and, hey, like it never happened. It's never going to happen. It's not how it works. But you learn to live with it and you can have a fantastic life and things will be fantastic, right? Everything's groovy, but that's just a part of it. And you know what? Father's Day is going to suck. His birthday is going to be hard. And the day that we lost him, all of those days are tough. And that's just how it goes down, right? But you learn to live with it. And one of the most amazing things for me was that over time, and I know that people in my family have said the same thing, you get to a point where, a Father's Day rolls around or a birthday rolls around or whatever. And you spend more of the time talking about memories that were funny. You spend more time saying, do you remember the time he did this? And there's a shift. And that was a beautiful thing for me. Honest to God, that was a beautiful thing for me. When getting together with my loved ones means talking about the Chief and getting a good laugh. That's absolutely fantastic. Tommy, do humans catch a buzz from eating hot peppers? Why, it's funny. You should say that. Funny thing happens if you eat peppers that are hot enough. I'll give you a really good example. I believe it was yesterday on a channel called Chase the Heat. The host tricked his co-host or his guest into eating a pepper that he knew was considerably hotter than he told his guest. But that pepper was actually hot enough so that my body went into this kind of a panic thing where it thinks something really bad is about to happen to Tommy. And it sends a bunch of dopamine down to try to help. And absolutely that happens. You will get an endorphin dump off of peppers. Oh boy, can you. And my brother does it, I don't know, at least once a day. Why, thank you. Congrats on the channel, sir. Addiction runs in the family. Been hard watching my siblings deal with it. I died before jumping out of an airplane. You know what? I think you might change your mind if the plane was going down. No, the jumping out of an airplane thing was one of the nicest things that I've ever done. Truthfully, it was that really is one of those things that if you've never tried, when the switch gets turned on, right, when all of those chemicals release, I've never done anything like it. Nothing. And I've done some pretty silly things in my life, you know. But that buzz hurts the backside. You know, believe it or not, that question gets asked of my brother and I more than any other question. You know what? This one's important. Everybody see that? She says, thank you, Joni and Mischief. Elvis is so grateful for the company. That is the live Elvis cam. We're trying to help get this channel to 4,000 hours. You guys remember what that was like when you did it here, right? So if you've got a couple of devices, go over there and watch the Elvis, the vicious three-legged Chihuahua. He's not vicious. I'm kidding. The dog's a rock star, but it's actually really funny to watch. Uh-oh, booyah. You know what, Seventh? I feel you, brother. I know. He said, I tried starting to drink last week. Moderation was never my thing. I don't know that any of us here are known for moderation, bro. I mean, honestly, it's not certainly not my strong suit. We have always joked that if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. Hello, Valerie. Thank you for popping in to say hi. Really appreciate that. Internet's slow, so it's hit or miss. Well, I hope you heard the hello part. We hope we at least hit that. I couldn't even jump off a tree to zip line without panicking. Well, here's the deal. I remember being really freaked out at the concept of jumping out of a plane. And when we did it, it was sort of to overcome that fear. And one of the three of us was not afraid. The entire ride down showed no fear at all of jumping out of this plane. In fact, he talked much smack about it on the way down. He could not believe that that we were so freaked out about it. In fact, he was openly mocking us for it. And then an unusual thing happened. As it actually came to fruition that we jumped out of the airplanes, one of us tried to swim back to the airplane. And you say, well, how would you know that? The funny thing is this. We did not jump out together. Johnny went up first. A gentleman by the name of Peter went up second. And I went up last. And you have a logbook, and all of your jumps are kept in the logbook. So the first 9 jumps, you would do what's called targeted learning objectives, and your supplemental and primary jump masters will fill out in your book how you did. Did you screw up on this? Did you screw up on that? This kind of thing, right? So we're looking through the books and we're reading, and they were talking about how I was potato chipping, and my brother skipped one of the 3 targeted learning objectives, and they had to sort of remind him of it. Had something to do too with how he climbed out on the wing. I can't remember, but they said specifically in Pete's that as he stepped off of the wing of the airplane, he viciously tried to swim back into the plane for 30 seconds. Kind of did this like trying. That's about half the jump. They had to basically wrestle him into a. And then when he got to the ground, his sense of humor, he had lost it on the way down.
Along with his ripcord.
Along with his ripcord. And if you're a skydiver, you know what this means. When you pull your ripcord, it comes out in your hands. It's not like the movies, right? It's not this one. That's your backup. The real one is on your butt, right? And when you pull it, the whole cord comes out and you have to tuck it away, unless you get real scared and drop it. In which case you will be mocked for the rest of the time that you're a skydiver. And they warn you of that before you do it. And he lost his anyway. And then he wanted to go buy one Oh, it's just embarrassing. The whole thing was an embarrassment. Gray Zone. Vanessa says, the anniversaries are hard for me as well. 1022 is coming up. 20 years ago, one of my soulmates passed, and he's my angel now. I can at least hope. Rest in peace. I'm sorry, Vanessa. That's awful. And it's, you know what? Tomorrow's one of those days for me. I don't like the 17th of October much. Just yesterday was one for my brother. So we everybody has those. She says he was a heroin addict. 7th, he died in a drunk driving accident due to just being extra sadly not heroin. Wow, he tackled a police officer on the 5 too. Well, you got to respect anybody that tackles a police officer on the 5. And I don't want to pick on Vanessa, but every time somebody from California says the number of a highway, I'm sorry, but the Californians, I know it's bad timing. I apologize in advance. It's just terrible. But the Californians, to me, is one of the funniest things in the entire world. And truthfully, when I went out to Los Angeles with Alan Ballantyne, we met the Californians. I'm sorry. By the way, for all of you who have sent me emails saying, when are we going to see a show with Alan Ballantyne in it? We're not. No, I'm kidding. Alan is going to be on not this weekend, but next weekend. He's going to do Saturday Night Boat with myself and my brother. Laughter really is the best medicine. You know that? It really is. Oh, my Lord. Carousel delirium. Wow. Mom is 3 years this year. My mother-in-law 1.5 years. My dog a year and a half. My dad was about 18 years old ago. And grandma on dad's side 1 year before son. I am so sorry to hear that. Good Lord. You know, and we talk about this all of the time on the boat, right? There are different levels of, hold on 1 second. I'm sorry.
Levels of grief.
Yeah, that is absolutely horrendous. We usually talk about somebody cutting in front of you on a line, right? As being a 1, and losing somebody as being a 10. And you know, the more of this that we see, the more difficult it is, because again, we're not going to go over any of this. This is us learning to live with it, and it's and that's difficult. I don't know what, but just the term, does it top Florida Man? I just want to put that up on the screen. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about, but does it top Florida Man? Nothing tops Florida Man. Tommy, what are you doing here? That is an excellent question. It really is. Florida Man is the best medicine. Yes. Get your own 3-legged comfort dog for the night. That is the funniest thing ever. You know what? I watched a film the other day. I watched later, Cindy. I saw a film the other day that I hadn't seen in probably about 30 or 40 years. I watched it with my brother, and it was one of those films that didn't have a bunch of cameras. So it was, old school shot, very old school style. So it was easy to watch. But if you haven't gone back, we're working right now on what the first film we're going to be watching is, and we're going to be announcing in the next 2 days when that film night is. Big doings, people. Chi says, but like and subscribe. That would be kind. It really would. Gray Zone May says, I will. You know what's really funny? I like putting timestamps up when you happen to see, because I tuned in the other day. I woke up in the middle of the night and I looked over at and there's no dog there. And I was like, well, it's kind of a bummer. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, like 2 little feet popped out the front when he was doing the big stretch, and then a tail popped out the backside. So I wrote down the timestamp because I just thought it was funny as hell. I'm not a fan of typos either. Have you ever noticed that if you're going to put up like something long, like you're going to put up a post, you can read that thing 50 times, right? You read it, everything is right. You didn't misspell anything. And then you hit send. And when you read it, there are words missing, like complete sentences that don't make, a lick of sense. Yeah. You see where you can see that, can't you? Can't you see that? Chi-Chi. Timestamps are the best. I was talking with at least 3 different people who are all content creators. We are all in agreement that one of the coolest things in the world is when somebody says something about you and puts up a timestamp, even if they're hacking on me. It's funny as hell. I dig the timestamp. It's funny stuff. Keep them coming. What's that? Yeah, big fun. Huge. Huge. The Mission with De Niro and Jeremy Irons is excellent. The Mission. I don't know. I've never heard of that. Honestly, I have no idea. That bums me out. I'm a Jeremy Irons fan. I really like his work. I thought he played the greatest Klaus von Bülow ever. And that was a creepy film. I don't know if you ever saw that, but it was a creepy movie. You guys remember Klaus von Bülow? You're probably all too young. All righty, everybody. We're going to wrap this puppy up and call it a night. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. Over there is my brother. And this here is not a squirrel in a basket. But if you missed the morning show, my cat kicked the hell out of this thing this morning. On film. It was one of the funniest things ever. Squirrel jumped up into her into the basket, and I had the stunt squirrel in there, and squirrel went to town, kicking it with the back feet, chewing on it. Very funny stuff. Jeremy, look, no one has ever hacked on Jeremy. We just know who you are, dude. We're on to you, man. It's all good. Florida cop claims Burger King. Wait. Florida cops claim Burger King put dirt on his food. This one hits home due to my logo. I can see that. Alrighty, people. That's a wrap. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. We'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.